And I'm so excited to see you guys here tonight. So, first of all, I just want to welcome everyone to Making Connection and thank you for joining us. This is a safe space of cared experienced people and the good people who work with them from all over the globe. Our sessions are to build networks, to share and learn from one another. We ask that you come as you are. Do not ask anyone to share their personal stories here. We do not allow any disrespect in the space, nor try to get any person to share any traumatic experience. It is important to be respectful to each other's differences and understand that some topics may be sensitive. Okay, now I'm going to hand it over to Rose.
Thank you so much. So just to go through the agenda for today, we're going to have a brief 15-minute presentation from Isabelle about who she is. So we'll kind of build a picture about what she's done and why she's here today. And then we'll have a Q&A. So me and Aisha will be asking some questions just to kind of probe a bit more about why she did what she did and what her motivations were. And then we also have time during that to kind of, for you guys, if you have any questions, to put them into the chat, and then we can go through as many as we can at the end. So it'll be about an hour and a half for this event, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So take it away, Isabelle.
Thank you. I just wanted to start by saying hello, hiya. I always say hiya over hello, hence why I've written hiya. As it's been presented, I'm Isabelle and my pronouns are she, her. I'm currently 29 years old and I live in a place called Huddersfield, which is in West Yorkshire, which if you don't know the UK, it's like the middle top half of the UK. So you've got like England and then you've got Scotland, but we're like here in the middle. So we're in a really nice part of the country. It's the middle of nowhere. And I love it. I love the countryside and I love the kind of, where I live. So yeah, I'm going to begin. So this is a little bit about me before I kind of talk about what I do and I guess how I've got to where I've got to, just so you kind of have an understanding of, I guess, who I am and where I come from. So I'm a care experienced person and I went into care at the age of 9. So you can see here there's a really embarrassing photo of me at 9 years old with crazy hair, as I always do. At 9 years old, I'd experienced quite a lot of trauma. I'd had a really difficult childhood. And life hadn't been the best that it could be for a child that was 9 years old. So I was really thankful that I went into care and I went and lived with my foster mum. I was really lucky that I lived with the same foster mum for the whole time I was in care. I was really lucky I didn't get moved foster placements. I didn't go into residential children's homes. I was able to just have that stability. And for me, that was like life-changing, to be able to have that like one place of safety. And it was difficult, it was bumpy, but I was able to kind of just stick it out. My time in care was, it was difficult and it was really hard, but it was really positive. And something I've reflected on recently is that if I didn't go into care, I wouldn't be who I am today, which I think is really important to like hone in and be like, it was a life-changing thing that meant and still does mean the world to me that it happened. So I've included again a photo of me here at 16. So at 16 years old, I'd done really well in school. I'd passed all my GCSEs, which are exams you do here in the UK. I'd done really well, and one thing that I was absolutely obsessed with at 16 was theatre, drama, anything even slightly creative. It was like in my bones. Throughout my time in care, I was in kind of youth theatre. I went to every single arts thing I could get my teeth into, and that was really encouraged by the people in my life at that time. At 16, I also left my foster placement after finishing school, and I went back with my birth family. So I moved from the bottom of the country in the New Forest, so kind of Southampton, which is where like the Titanic went from. I feel like that's the easiest way to describe where I grew up. And I moved all the way up 300 miles away up to the top of the country, where my siblings lived. It wasn't the best decision I think I made at 16. And I would argue it should not have been a decision I got given at 16 to do, but it happened. And I'm really grateful that it did, because I met my partner at 19. And I was able to move in with him and kind of really focus in on what I wanted to do in life, which is then where I ended up applying to drama school to do my undergrad degree in drama, applied theatre and education. It was hard. Uni was really hard. I think separate me being care experienced, university was possibly the hardest thing I've ever experienced. And I went to a drama school, so it was a little bit different from a normal I guess, experience of university. But I persevered. I don't know if you can hear my daughter. She's like knocking at the door. The mummy, which is fine. It's what it is. But yeah, at 24, I graduated university a little bit later than I guess most people do. For me, that just felt like the right time in my life to go to uni. The way my brain works is I go into education, I get really in it, and then I have a few years out of it. And so far, it's been 5 years out of education, so I'm kind of waiting to go back. But yeah, I did really well at university. I got a first class honours degree in drama and applied theatre. And it was at university that I started to really meet other care experience people that weren't just people I was friends with and they're the same age with and just got on with. It was care experience people who were professors and university lecturers. It was famous care experience people. It was people who were just gonna grew up the same way I did but had achieved more in their lives. And it really kind of sunk into me that at 9 years old I didn't have that, and I really wanted to start thinking about how I could show that. It was also sadly the first time I'd experienced discrimination about being care experience. I hadn't really experienced it massively up to that point. There'd been moments, but that was the first time I'd really experienced what it was like to experience discrimination as a care experience person, and it really ignited a fire in me of passion and anger to change things beyond just wanting to make the system better. I was like, I need to make things better for care experience people as a whole. And then, yeah, I come to me now at 29. So at 29, I have a family. I've got a little girl, as you've probably just heard knocking at the door, as 2-year-olds or nearly 2-year-olds do. And I'm living kind of, in a place that feels really home and feels where I feel very settled. And yeah, that's kind of where I am in kind of my journey. Some of the things that I've started to do, I'll talk about in a minute, but at the moment, I tend to kind of, I think when I had my daughter, before I had my daughter, I was very heavily involved in trying to push for change and advocacy. And then when I had my daughter, I really found, I found this part of me that was like, no, my emotional energy needs to go to her. And I think that's come from my upbringing. And it's taken me kind of time to switch myself a little bit, but in the best way. So what do I do? That's kind of why you guys are here as well, to ask questions and things. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the care experience movement. So the care experience movement is 3 years old in July. That's how long we've been registered as a CIC, which is a community interest company. But we've been around for a little bit longer than that. I think since 2022. We've been kind of really pushing to kind of exist as a movement. The best way for me to describe the care experience movement isn't a movement to represent care experience people. It's a space for care experience people to come and represent themselves and be given the spaces to do that for themselves. So we don't go, cool, us little organisation over here represent the whole care experience community. We're like, no, look, we want to get care experience people into spaces where we can get access to. We're really focused on, again, voice, power and visibility for all care experience people. We don't have an upper age limit. We say if you've experienced care in any capacity and you are 16 years old or you're 104 years old, come and work with us, come and do we can support you as much as we can. We exist to kind of challenge stigma, change narratives and influence systems, and that goes beyond just local authority. That means, I guess, TV, that means charities, that means anybody that works with a care experience person. We really try to challenge those spaces. And we really try to do that in a way that supports care experience people to do that for themselves. And by that, I mean, we invite care experience people to come talk to us about something they want to do, and we go, cool, how can we support you? We don't say, we're going to do that piece of work for you and you can just come in and co-produce it. We're like, no, let's help you do it. And I think it's a really nice way of going about it. So some of the things that we're working on at the moment is our Defining Care Experience project, which is taking up all of my brain capacity in my work zone. And that is us trying to come up with, I guess, a definition of care experience, because it's often used differently with one place, it's used differently with another organisation. And we really want to invite care experience people of any age to tell us what they think care experience means, to try and develop a piece of work together. we're hoping that in November we can deliver that as an event and report. Hopefully in the House of Lords is our goal. That's where those conversations are happening. But we'll see how it goes. The other thing that I want to mention is our 101 training. So this is a piece of work, a piece of training that is the bare bones, hence why it's called the 101, on what care experience is and how to support care experience people. And that was written with multiple care experience people. We did a lot of consultation work to be like, what do you think this needs? What support would you like? And then the last kind of one I want to mention is our Have a Brew mornings. This is literally a space for any care experience person to come and have a cup of tea with us. No agenda, no topic. It's literally just for care experience people to come and meet and connect. We've often found that care experience people don't get the chance to do things like that, where they just get to meet another care experience person and form friendships and form support themselves. So that's the care experience movement. And then the other bits I want to mention, so I spoke a little bit about drama, so it would be silly for me to not mention where my heart and my passion is at the moment. So at the moment, I'm developing a theatre company called Make Yourself at Home, which at the moment is a care experience theatre company for care experience adults, so 18 plus, to come be together, be creative, and just kind of exist beyond just being care experience, but that being the thing that connects us. We have an event coming up on the 17th of July, which I'm really nervous for. The closer it gets, the more nervous I get, I'm going to be honest and say it. But that is a piece of devising work that we're working on with care experience adults to try and release a play. I'm going to say play. It's not looking like a play at the moment. It's just looking like a bit of a scrap. To kind of, showcase what it's like to be care experience, whatever that may look like. It's really difficult to be in that space, I think, as a care experience person if you don't come from a creative arts background, because sometimes it can be a bit scary if you've not done any theatre before. So it's been about making that space accessible for anyone to come and enter. So I don't do like really improv things, for example. I don't get somebody to stand up and read Shakespeare. I'm like, no, just tell me your story and we can make something from it together. I'm a massive fan of storytelling and spoken word and seeing how that can piece together and support care experience people in their journey. Alongside this piece of work, I work with care experience young people to deliver spoken word workshops. I do that with an organisation here in Liverpool. And that is just getting them to write spoken word together and sharing it. Again, something that's not ever spoken about is care experience people can do stuff like that, and then it's not scary. But yeah, that's really kind of that. I just want to say thank you for listening. I'm really excited to do the Q&A.
Okay, thank you. So a question I have for you is, how has your own lived experience shaped the way you define the term kid experience? And has the definition changed over time through your activism and creative work?
Massively it's shifted. I think for me to look at trying to define what care experience is now is seeing how difficult it is to access support if you don't come under a certain title of care experience. And I really wanted to challenge that and be like, this is what care experience means. This is what people are saying. But alongside that, it was to explore personal identity and lived experience and how that intertwines together, and kind of push, I guess, for care experience people to be recognised and be able to take down stigma. I had a really lovely conversation yesterday with someone who's care experience, and he was like, we should be able to say it's cool to be care experience. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't thought about it from that perspective. And I think that was a conversation I had like yesterday during the day. So I think it's that. It's kind of to remove that stigma of what it means to be care experienced. Yeah, great question.
Thank you for sharing. And what were the main driving factors that got you into exploring care experience identity now?
I think like just to kind of uncover what care experience actually means. Like what does it mean to be a care experience person, and what are care experience people saying it means to them? Like I know what, for me, I know what care experience means, and I know for me it means it's to be care experience is to be care experience for life. But I just want to know what everybody else thinks in the community and kind of get their opinion of it. I think it's that. It's to explore personal identity and then also use that to be able to showcase that care experience people are really great and that we are more than just the statistics and the names that are given to us.
The next question I have for you is, why do you think you felt it was necessary to combine your space with theatre?
Multiple reasons. Main one, I'll be really honest here, theatre and the arts is like embedded in me as a human being. It would be so silly, I think, if it didn't creep out of me in one way or another. It's like in my soul, I think, is what I've realised recently. It's like a part of my bones. So I think it's a part of that, but also for me, theatre and the arts is the most accessible way for anybody to engage in something. It's a space that is often created that it's safe, there's no judgment in them spaces, and it creates a sense of community. I think the arts is the only place I've ever felt safe as a care experience person, and I wanted to make sure that other people get to experience that without there being, I guess, barriers and boundaries to engaging in that space. I would never say anybody's not allowed to enter my space. If they care experience and they want to connect, I'm like, come and enter my space. We'll play some drama games, whatever that may look like in the day.
The next question is a two-part. It's a two-part one. So as we are a very diverse group, why is community important for care experience people?
I think community is important for every single person on the planet. I'm going to say it. It's important for every single person on the planet. But mainly for care experience and grow up in care is really isolating. It's a really scary and misunderstood way to grow up as a child. And it's so difficult. And we're often not given the space to connect and form relationships with each other. And for me, to develop a community together will reduce that isolation, it will reduce the stigma, it will help us support and uplift each other. For example, when I had my daughter, a care experience person who's known me since I was 16, known me when I was a little bit feistier in my bones. When I had my daughter, he messaged me to say, obviously, congratulations, and he offered me support, he offered me advice, and then he was like, I have baby clothes and toddler clothes, would you like them? So every 3 months, I get a box of toddler clothes from a care experience person that I've known since I was like 16, and children weren't even on my radar of life. And for me, that's really important. We can, as care experience people, we can support and uplift each other, because care is really isolating. And alongside that, it creates space for change. If we're together, we can push for change together and uplift each other. Yeah.
To follow up, what are the goals you see with the care experience people movement?
I see loads of goals. My brain gets really excited and overexcited. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I really want to do this with the care experience movement. But then I'm like, oh, that would take a very long time and lots of money and funding. For me, the biggest goal is just to connect care experience people together. Like for me, I love when I know something we've delivered has connected two care experience people together and their friends, and then they meet up for a cup of tea on the weekend. To me, that's like a massive goal. I think when we were forming and becoming what we wanted to become, we were really focused on big achievements and big goals. So like opening hubs or changing policy, and the more we've existed, the more those goals have become more grounded, that just connecting care experience people together is enough. As odd as it sounds, I'd love for the care experience movement to not need to exist, to not need to push for change and push for policy and system change. But will we get there? We don't know. I hope so. But I think that's my personal goal. I think charity and that sector exists to support, but if the system supports the way it should, then we shouldn't need to exist. I hope we get there. But the biggest goal is to connect. That's always
Thank you for sharing that. This is another two-part question. What challenges have you faced along this journey, and how have you confronted them?
I'll answer this like from, I guess, like the movement's perspective and then my own perspective. So from the movement's perspective, one of the biggest kind of barriers has been how we can support each other as care experience people in a way that's not re-traumatizing and causes further harm. The way we've confronted that is just saying it. We've just said it. From the beginning, we were like, in order to do this, we need to support our well-being. In order to enter spaces where trauma may be mentioned or talks about, we need to support our well-being and look after each other. On on my own personal journey, I have the worst imposter syndrome. I get really weird, and I'm happy to talk about that more. But I have the worst imposter syndrome, and that just exists in me. But I do the same thing. I just own it. I'm like, my imposter is saying I'm not the right person for this, and I really kind of confront that by just owning it and being like, this little voice in my head isn't right. It's not right. It's here, but it's not right. I think as well, like a big barrier for me is feeling burnt out, and that often I'm only a care experience person, so I try to ensure I have things where I'm not a care experience person. So I have hobbies where nobody in that hobby knows I'm care experience. It tends to creep out because they ask what I do for a job, or what I do, and it naturally comes out, obviously. But I try to have spaces where I don't exist for my identity. I'm just Isabelle. So like hiking, nobody knows I'm care experience when I hike. For example, like when I climbed Snowdon, nobody on that mountain apart from my partner knew my history and my identity. So I think it's acknowledging that.
Well, thank you for sharing. I think that is so relatable. To follow
Thank
up on
you.
that, um, when you feel like you're giving up, what keeps you motivated?
I think quite a lot keeps me motivated. I think the younger me keeps me motivated. I'm always trying to think, what does she need? What would she need in the world right now? Like, does she need a hug? Does she need system change? I always try to keep going for her, and reflecting on myself. Um, Most importantly, I think my daughter, I'm just going to say it sounds really cheesy, but my daughter really keeps me going in life. She really keeps me motivated. I think to break that cycle that I experienced of going into care is hugely rewarding as a mother. And that really keeps me going. And yeah, again, I set myself spaces where I can have a break, where I can just relax. I take time off. Naturally, I do talk about being care experience, but even when I'm having a break, like if I'm watching TV, I'm like, that's a care experience person on TV, and then I'll annoy my partner by being like, blah, 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 blah. This is why that's an inaccurate representation. But so it naturally does come out. But yeah, I try to look after myself as much as possible.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Through this journey and learning about other care experience people's just journey through care, how do you see the education system today? And for our community, do you think there are alternative
I'll answer the
paths?
second half. I definitely think there are alternative paths in education and life. I get really frustrated when care experience people are only ever pushed to go into education and university and are supported if that's what they're deciding to do. I think we should be supported in all aspects of life and whatever we decide to do. But in terms of education, I think when we're given the right support, we're encouraged and we're supported to be our absolute best. We thrive in education settings. We do our absolute best. So many of the care experience people that I'm friends with or know or just come across who've gone to university, they often end up doing master's degrees or PhDs. They continue, and that's often because they're geniuses. We'll acknowledge that point. But a lot of it is that then they're embedded. The support underneath them has lifted them up and helped them into them spaces. Often I think we're seen as having, like, education is seen as a traditional success route. Particularly, I know that the Milburn Review report, like the interim report, has just come out, which is focused on NEET massively. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but that's kind of come out. And I think it's often we're just not spoken about that there are other ways that we can go about things. I really like to motivate people who are like in the arts, and they're like, but I have no qualifications, I have no anything. I'm like, just apply. I'm like, just apply and tell them what's going on, and they'll support you. Yeah, but the support should be much better, and it is getting better. It is getting better.
Thank you. It was nice to hear that. I think that's definitely true. I think people shouldn't feel demotivated because they feel like they don't have the support or the intelligence to get somewhere through the traditional route. So I think that's a really important thing to tell people. So can you share a meaningful experience you've had on your journey as an artist
So
and
I
an
think
entrepreneur?
this is a combined answer for this because I feel like they're very much combined together. The most recent, like, I guess, meaningful thing I've experienced recently, and I've kind of touched on it, but I was delivering some spoken word workshops to a beautiful organisation called Thrive, which is based in Liverpool, and they support care experienced young people if they're accessing the benefit system within the UK, but they support them in a way that isn't just being like, just apply for every single job that exists and try get a job and move on and not exist in the benefit system. They support them to access support and actually go for a job that is empowering for them to apply for. But they also support those care experienced young people's well-being and the things that they need to also be a functional adult, and they recognise that. So they invited me in to do some spoken word workshops with some of their young people. And that was really powerful. Those young people wrote poetry with me, and some of them were like, I've never written poetry in my life. And that was really powerful, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. But when I went back to Thrive for some feedback, as you do when you're in the sector, you're like, I need feedback to show to a funder, which is an awful part of the job, but you do it. And one of their feedback was that 2 of their care experience people had connected, and they were 2 of their most isolated young people that they work with. They have no support network, they have hardly any friends, and they'd connected and they were meeting up outside of Thrive, outside of the work I was delivering. They were having like lunch together, they were having dinner, and I was just like, that is so, like, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And I'm like, wow, that to me is the most meaningful thing for me, is knowing that the work I'm doing and the work I'm trying to do as an artist is connecting them beyond just the work in the room. I think that's embedded in my work as an artist. I'm never really bothered about what it looks like at the other end. I'm more bothered about what's happening in the moment. I think that's always been about it for me. It's always been, I'm not really bothered about what it looks like. I'm happy with what it looks like in the moment. So yeah.
Okay, that is really beautiful.
Thank you.
And to follow up, as someone who is passionate about fairness and representation, why do you think it is necessary to pay care
I'm going to answer
experienced
this
people
quickly
in
because I
money?
feel like I have talked about this so much with people and I could just ramble on and vent. For me, the biggest thing is that for me, care experience, people's lived experience is expertise, and it should be absolutely valued as that. And often, care experience people's lived experience of life isn't valued as something that is expertise, and they're offering themselves up in that space. For me as well, it's about acknowledging that is a person. They have bills, they have a house to pay for, they have things, they may have had to take time off work to be somewhere, they may have had to source childcare. So it's about recognizing that just from the get-go that they are a human being in this space. For me, it removes tokenism in a way, and it removes exploitation because it means that we're treating them as human beings. Often I found people's logic is that they're on benefits and we don't want to prevent them having their benefits taken away. I was like, okay, have the conversation with them, explain it, and ask them how they want to go about it. If they are on universal credit and they don't want that to be impacted, have the conversation with them. So it's really, for me, it just acknowledges that they are a human being who's giving up their time and their emotional labor, and that needs to be acknowledged, not just with care experienced people, with all people, but particularly with care experienced people. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's so important to kind of empower people to feel that they're actually just as valuable as anybody else, that their experience, even though they're there for their experience, but they're being valued the same way as anybody else, and they don't need to feel like they need to make that their identity, and that's the only thing they can share. You are very deliberate about the decisions you make, and I'm curious, through all the things you do, you've become a role model to many people in your community. And what does being in a leadership position and a guiding position mean to you?
I've spoken about this like before, where it's like I get so weird when people are like, you're a role model. I'm like, no, I'm just doing things. I'm just doing things I think need to be done for care experienced people and for myself. I think to me it means just recognizing what younger me needed in life, and being able to acknowledge her, and that tiny little Isabelle is still here and she still kind of appears with things. So it's about that. Like I don't think I ever really tried to do anything in a way that puts me in a leader position. I always put myself on the ground. Like I always see myself as the same as everybody else. So I think it's about that. While then also recognizing that yes, if people are seeing me in that role model role, whatever that may look like, that yeah, I am responsible for making sure the care experience people can get into spaces. Like I can email a baroness, for example, from the House of Lords and have a meeting with her like I'm her friend. So for me, it's about ensuring that I get other care experience people in that space as well, and knock that wall down that exists for us. And yeah, I guess about encouraging other care experience people that they can be confident, that they can acknowledge their care experience and be successful, whatever success looks like to them. Just acknowledge that that my success is different to the way they may see it. So it's about that. Yeah.
How do you think your background influences your approach in leadership and decision making? And has your experience as a mother shaped your perspective?
I think as a care experience person, I think and all care experience people, we're very, very used to our lives being chosen for us and decisions made for us. And I never want to be that person. I never want to be the person making decisions for somebody who can make their own decisions. So I think that naturally comes in. It's there. It's embedded, that experience of not having the choice to make my own decisions. So it naturally is there. As a care experience person, I'm unbelievably sympathetic and empathetic because of my upbringing. I can recognize, yeah, it's just there. I'm not sure why it's there, but it is there. It's in me. It's in my core. As well as I can read a room. I think all care experience people can read rooms so easily because we're so often, when we're in our childhood, we're placed in rooms of people that we don't know, so we had to very quickly gauge who is in the room. And I think that naturally comes in into everything I do as a leader and in any decision making. As a mother, it has changed every part of me. I'm just going to acknowledge that it changed every single part of me as a person. And I think in terms of like my leadership and decision making, I think it's made me more patient is the word I'm going to use. It's made me really patient and to be able to be on what other people's levels and what they're bringing into the space for that day. And it's kind of, I guess it's given me a different perspective of what other people may have going on in their lives at that point. And I will say I had that before being a mother because I'm care experienced, but becoming a mother, it's made it a little bit more prominent and there. I think as well, it's just made me want to make sure her future is the best it can be, along with everybody else who's in the same age group as her. And that includes care experienced young people that are the same age as her. So it's just made me want to make sure that their future is the absolute best it can be, and they're giving every single positive, wonderful life choice that they can have. But she has changed me for the best. She's just made me better and stronger, which is naturally.
That's really sweet. That sounds so impactful and I guess weird in a way to kind of see a mini you.
Yeah, it's kind of new me. I'm still me, but like I think I'm a little bit more responsible. Sometimes it's often also that perspective. And I'm definitely more patient. I think having a child naturally makes you a little bit more patient because you have to be with children, especially toddlers. You have to realize you have to be very patient and be okay with sitting in a supermarket while they have a tantrum. So it's naturally come out.
I mean, I was going to say I hear that, but I don't have a kid, but I understand what you're saying. What do you most anticipate for the future?
Lots of things. I think I anticipate, and I'm really excited to see more care experience people connecting and forming friendships and relationships with each other that are lifelong and that they're there for their whole life. I'm really excited to kind of see that. From the movement's perspective, I'm just excited to see where it goes. Obviously, we have a chair and we have other people. While I do things, I have people telling me to do things. So I'm excited to see where they go with it and see kind of what they think. I'm so excited to see care experience people being recognised for who we actually are, that we aren't criminals, we aren't people that they see on TV in the fall, or well, not Tracy Beaker here in the UK, for example. I'm really excited to see that and see honest, true representations of my community. I'm so excited to see that recognised more. And I'm hopeful. I'm not going to say excited. I'm hopeful for change for gay experienced people. And I say hopeful because things take time. Real big change takes time. So I'm hopeful for that. But I'm really excited to see little pockets of change happening, which I see now. I see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Okay.
I really feel like I am gonna take away something here, but
Thank you.
I have one more question for you. What is one thing you would want all of us to take away from this today?
Not just care experienced people, but if there's something that you want to do, just do it. Just do it. Whatever's maybe holding you back, if it's university and you're like, I don't have the right qualifications, just apply. Just have a conversation with the university or the person that's providing whatever you want to do. Just talk to them. If you want to start a business, just have a look into it. It's scary. As somebody who co-founded the Care Excellence movement, it's scary, but it's doable. So I think that is, if you want to do something, just do it. If that's even going for a bike ride, it's really important to do that too. And also, I guess, yeah, from a care experience perspective, that when we're supported in a way that supports us, we thrive in life, and you can see that. Yeah, it really embodies in it.
Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is going through the questions. So if you have any questions that have come up either now or before, please put them in the chat. So he wants to know more about your theatre work. But yeah, if you want to explain more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Riz. I'd love to be connected. So the theatre stuff I'm doing at the moment is based at my local theatre, which is Lawrence Batley Theatre. I'm the artist in residence there at the moment, which means I get to essentially work at the theatre and do what I want to do. Not do what I want to do my idea within reason. And I get access to their spaces. I get support of like funding applications. So that's kind of, I applied for them and approached them about the idea. And I was like, I don't know what it's going to look like. And they were like, that's okay, come on in. And we'll support you. So it's based in Huddersfield, which is in West Yorkshire at the moment. But I love the idea of it being beyond West Yorkshire. But this is where my roots are. So it kind of makes sense for me to stay here and do it. But it's, I'm really excited. I'm happy to be connected as well, Rose.
One of the questions says, if you've never thought of yourself as creative or as an artist, where could somebody begin, whether with you or independently?
That's such a good question. Just such a good question. I think I would say every single person is creative in one way or another. I've had this conversation with a few times actually, that I think it's about knowing what creativity is, that it isn't just theatre. It's not just maybe being able to write spoken word or produce music or be a theatre director or a director. It's acknowledging where you are creative in yourself. So if that's cooking, you can be really creative in cooking and you take time with all the ingredients, go into it, and you're really good. I'm rubbish at cooking, which is why I use that as an example. So I couldn't call myself a cook, but I think it's about acknowledging where creativity comes in. Like if you love doing makeup or you love fashion, or it comes in. I think everybody is creative in their own way, which is really hard to like get your head around. But if someone was interested in it from a drama perspective, my advice would be to just find something in your local area, or me, if I'm in your area, find something that's going on in your area and just go and see if it is your cup of tea. I know that it can be really scary. I did like a beatboxing thing a few years ago, and I'm not my cup of tea. And I only knew that because I went to it. But I'm still an artist, even though I don't like that one thing. But I think it's about finding where you're creative in yourself is what it's at. Like I wouldn't call myself a chef, but I would call myself creative with baking because I like baking.
I think that is true. I think even if you're technical, that makes sense. You can create like your creative mind in some way.
Yeah, I think sorry, Riz, I think as well, like art is for everybody. Theatre and art, creative arts is for absolutely everybody. You don't have to come from a certain background to be creative. So you're thinking about it, like it's for everybody. There's no like barrier. There shouldn't be a barrier is the word I'm going to use there, because there is sometimes a barrier, but there shouldn't be a barrier for somebody to engage in the creative arts, and to be creative. If you want to make an improv group, you should be able to just make an improv group, even if you're meeting in your front room, every like on Tuesday evening or something. Who knows? But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Doris.
No, that's fine. The other question was, thank you so much for sharing. Can we hear more about how we can access the tea mornings?
Yes. Is it Beth? I think yeah,
Yeah.
Fab. If Rose is okay, I can send you and Colleen, I can send you the stuff for that and you can sign up for it. If it's helpful to know, I can tell you when the next one is. We hold them like once a month. Um, I'll send it an email. I'm not going to try to get my work calendar up because it will open up 50 million tabs on my computer. But they have it like once a month. It's on like the last Friday of every month, if that helps. But you can also just message us and be like, I want to come and have a cup of tea with you any day of the week, and we'll have a cup of tea with you any day of the week. Gladly to anyone. We say that. We've had it a few times where someone said, can I have a brew with you? And I'm like, yes, have a cup of tea with me. Tell me what you want to talk about. I'm all ears. I get the most excited when people just want to talk to me about what they're doing. And I'm like, how can I help you? It makes me excited. I think as a human being, I'm like, oh, yay.
Quickly, because I've just got a burning question, and you just the questions you got today were so thoughtful from the guys here. So, thanks for all the questions and your thoughtful answers and your very warm and compassionate delivery. I mean, you're really gifted at speaking in this way. Clearly, you've done a lot of work in the theater and so forth. It's amazing. But I've actually got like a real question because you're really thoughtful on your responses here. And so sorry to keep everyone just for a second, but community is like so important, and we're getting hit with not being able to build community through the work that we're doing, like being told like, yeah, you're doing one-to-one mentoring and it's doing this, but funders are saying to us, but you're not really helping young people build community. And when it comes to care experience young people, like the description you gave about being dislocated, like you're in one place and then you're in another place, and then somebody reached out who you were networked with and they're now supporting with like clothing and so forth. Like for us, that's the kind of community that we want to build. Like we want to build these networks that allow this, and across continents and some random background chance and geography and so forth, right? And so I guess the question I would ask, just to turn it around, is like, how can we help you build community? Like based on what you're doing now, how can we be of more service in helping build community for young people who happen to be care experienced?
That's a really great question. So I think some reflection. My thank you firstly. My drama acting training comes in handy. Gotta acknowledge it. Really helped too. Well, I went to a drama school. Really did help. So I can talk for England ish because of that. I think for me, a lot of my community came in a time when Twitter was Twitter. I'm not going to call it what it gets called now, but when Twitter was its case, and a lot of care experience people connected with each other naturally on that way would be like, oh, I'm care experience, I'm looking to connect. So that would just happen. So like some of my like closest friends came because of that platform. So perhaps there needs to be a new platform that exists for care experience people. I've tried to use Blue Sky, don't like it very much. I think my neurodivergent self really struggles with it. But it naturally came for me as an older care experience person. It came from Twitter and having a platform to connect that way. But things like this exist. Like I really hope people. I know my social media and stuff will be shared, so please feel free to connect with me and if you want to help meet virtually or in person, if that works. I'm really happy to do that. I think that's a great way. I feel like as a community, we always know each other, even though we're a massively diverse community. I think every care experience person knows another care experience person who then knows somebody else. So I think it naturally comes out. So like, I met with Chris Wilde was the person I met actually with yesterday. Big fan of him. We've met a couple of times, and I was just like, I'm just gonna message him and be like, can we have a cup of tea? Well, I was like, can we meet online, please? And that was really nice. He was actually the person who was like, can we just own that being care experienced is cool? And I was like, oh, oh, I was a bit like taken back. I was like, oh yeah, I agree with you, Chris. So I guess like characters people will naturally just connect if you give them the space to connect is probably my point here, Andrew, which I think
Yeah,
helps maybe. Um, I think if you give us the space to meet another care experience person, the community will appear, whatever that looks like, if it's virtually, if that's on a platform, or if that's in person in a cafe, that it will happen.
yeah,
Like one of my friends I've known for years is a care experience person. I went on a, it's actually that picture on my thing where I'm with University of Winchester behind it, is a care experience person I met on that court, like on that weekend away.
yeah,
And she grew up, she was like, she wasn't down the road for me, but my brain says she was down the road because she was like a 30-minute walk. So that's down
yeah,
the road in my logic. And
yeah,
she was a big support system growing up. She was like a care experience person I could talk to about non-care experience things, to be honest, or she also understood what was
yeah.
happening. So things like this help
I think a
massively.
lot of the funders are thinking community means something very small. They're thinking of it as like geographically here. And so the moment you say, well, we're an online program and we're connecting people all over, and then they sometimes meet
Mm,
up and they meet up online, it's like, oh no, that's not really happening. Community means like youth center here. And it's just like it's just not true. And it's it's so
no,
unfortunate because there's like this huge community of young people who've been through this, who we want to connect. Like we want to see more and more opportunities like that through our
really.
youth engagement programs and so forth.
It's I think funders are really difficult to get them to understand things and what it's like to actually work on the ground. So like the
Mhm.
movement, for example, we're funded by the Blagrave Trust and Esme Furban, and that has come from me quizzing them. I'm going to be honest, it's come from me
Mhm.
quizzing them about what their KPIs are, what they actually want to see our deliverables be like, and what they want it to look like. And me
Mhm.
going, well, that's I don't really care about numbers. I don't care how many people come
Yeah.
to a workshop. I
Yeah.
care about
Yeah.
the impact that two people have
Mm.
maybe come and had when they leave.
Mm.
So I think part of it is explaining that to funders and being like, well, can we look at what you think community means and explain our definition and collaborating with other charities and people doing the same work. But this is what the community that we're seeing exists.
Yeah.
Um, I think you can have a community of two people, you can have a community of 20,000 people.
Yeah.
It's not a set thing. It's really hard. Funders are difficult. I struggle with them. So like, I salute you guys who have much bigger funders than us. I salute you guys. But
Well,
I've been picky. I've been picky. I've been really picky. So
I think that's the right way. I think it's the right way. I think we should be educating them. I think we should inspire, and I think we should inform. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, Isabel. It's
thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kai,
Okay.
for joining. And it was really nice to have you guys here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it and took a lot out of this. I hope that things like other connections, because called making connection, I hope you guys connect through this as well. Bigger things come out from this for people. And we're just going to wrap up now. So, Aisha, if you want to start.
Okay. Huge thank you to our guest speaker, Isabelle Kirkham, and to everyone here, and of course to all of you for being part of this community.
Jump in and say thank you so much to Isabelle, and how wonderful to see you. I was so excited to see your name pop up, and the lovely coincidence of Rose reaching out and asking. And of course, you know us so well because you've been in our program. So you look beautiful. I'm so thrilled to hear you're a mum, and really lovely to hear your words of wisdom and growth. And thank you again for joining us today. It's been really lovely to hear you, Isabelle, and lovely to see you too.
Thank you. That's really kind. I really am a fan of Say Yes. I always
Oh.
shout about you guys and recommend Say Yes to people that are care experienced and just need some support and I guess guidance as well. So I am a fan. So when I got the message from Rose, I was like, yeah, of course. Why would I not? A
Oh.
big fan.
Until next time, take care and keep making meaningful connections.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.